Well, newly elected Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, has pledged to be a mayor for all the people of the British capital during his swearing-in ceremony.
I'm determined to lead the most transparent, engaged and accessible administration London has ever seen, and to represent every single community and every single part of our city as mayor for all Londoners.
Khan gave the address at a high-profile gathering in a London cathedral. The Labour politician won over 1 million votes and triumphed over his main rival, Sadiq Goldsmith, from the Conservative Party, who suffered criticism for running an Islamophobic campaign against Khan. The British-Pakistani former lawyer has become the first Muslim mayor of a major European capital. His win is seen as a big boost to Labour, as the left-wing party will take over the capital after 8 years of Tory rule. From Boris Johnson. Crossing over to London, join my political analyst, Mr. Chris Bambury. Thank you so much for being with us. The significance of this election, especially in what we have been seeing across Europe, a more Islamophobic, xenophobic type of reaction throughout many nations, and yet in the middle of a lot of hysteria, we have seen Londoners now elect a first Muslim mayor. Tell me the significance of this election.
Well, you have to put this in context of the election campaign itself, where the Conservative candidate, Sadiq Goldsmith, who had always been trailing Sadiq Khan, the Labour candidate, Goldsmith decided to launch an Islamophobic attack on Sadiq Khan, questioning whether Londoners would be safe if they elected a Muslim mayor. One of the leaflets featured a picture of the 7/7 London bombings, the bus that was blown up in central London. So making a connection between 7/7 and somehow Sadiq Khan. And I'm really pleased to say that despite that dirty campaign, it backfired on Sadiq Goldsmith. And the people of London, the majority, voted for Sadiq Khan. And in the wake of the election, there has been considerable criticism from within the Conservative Party of Sadiq Goldsmith for this dog whistle campaign, for attempting to somehow associate Sadiq Khan with being a security threat. Sadiq Goldsmith's own sister, Jemima Khan, has criticised the campaign. So there's been a significant backlash against the Islamophobia of Sadiq Goldsmith's campaign. So it's very heartening that Sadiq Khan has won, particularly, as your last guest was saying, in the context of what's happening elsewhere in Europe. And it says a lot, I think, about London and Londoners, that they are happy to elect Sadiq Khan, not on the basis of his religion, but on the basis of the policies he was putting forward and his own campaign. So I think it's a very heartening moment in London today that we have this Muslim former lawyer, the son of a bus driver, as he always keeps reminding us, the son of a migrant, who's been elected as mayor of this great city.
Well, what is it about London or Londoners that in the middle of, as we've been talking about, this Islamic phobic type of behavior that we're seeing in so many Western countries at this point in time, what is it about Londoners that they were able to differentiate propaganda from the reality on the ground and looking at this individual as an individual, not representing any type of terrorism or even a religion for that matter?
Well, firstly, this is the most multi-ethnic city in Europe by a long way. Half the population come from somewhere else. It's a fantastic mix. Secondly, it is not a segregated city in the way if you visited Paris or Berlin. Those cities are segregated. Here, the population is mixed, entirely mixed, and people get on generally very, very well. Thirdly, as well, I think we have to say, if you remember, at the time of the Iraq invasion, London was the centre of one of the biggest demonstrations against that, some 2.5 million people. And the anti-war movement, almost a decade and a half ago, put opposition to the war alongside opposition to Islamophobia, the key ideological element of the so-called war on terrorism. And that has left roots. It's left roots in this city where people understand, or a large number of people understand, that Islamophobia is being used to justify foreign adventures like that in Iraq, but it's also been used to divide people. So that legacy, I think, remains and means that people are very, very suspicious of the sorts of attacks that Zach Goldsmith raised, and also feel quite comfortable about voting for someone who's from a Pakistani background, who's a Muslim, but has been born and brought up in London and contributed to that city. It's normal. You know, my school, my son's school, 80% of the school is Muslim, and none of his friends have two parents who are actually English. So it's multi-ethnic. We're familiar with Islam. We're familiar with Muslims. We do not see them as sinister.
All right. Thank you so much, Chris Bambury, for being with us out of London, political analyst.